Hey, what is going on, you guys? It is Mr. No Sleep here from Old School RuneScape, and welcome to a brand new video for you all today. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I have for you all loot from 3,000 giant frogs. Now, every day that I was working on this video, killing all these giant frogs, I would spend half the day killing frogs and the other half of the day dressing up as a frog and killing people in the wilderness. So during this video, you guys are going to get the best of both worlds, PVMing and of course PKing. But first things first, we have to start this video off right, so let's go ahead and change that username from Killin' Hands to none other than Killin' Frogs. We of course were using my secondary main account for the PVMing side of the video, and then of course for the PKing side we were using my main. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about these giant frogs. Where can we find them? What do they drop? And what do we need in order to kill them? So first things first, these giant frogs are 99 combat, released in March 2005. They are not a Slayer task. They cannot be assigned by any Slayer master in the game. They do actually hit you a little bit, since they are high combat. Their max hit is a 9, and that is why I did go with some pretty good defensive gear, rocking the full Justiciar as well as the Dragon Defender with a Serpentine helmet and the whip. But pretty soon into the video you will see that I did change my helmet for the making of this video. I figured it was only appropriate, and you guys will definitely see what I'm talking about in a few minutes here. And since these giant frogs are underneath Lumbridge Swamp, it is very important to bring any type of light source here because you do need one in order to see. And as you can see, once you enter the room where these giant frogs are, it is a little bit darker, so expect that dim light. I don't think it will change no matter what light source you do have, but I myself was bringing the candle lantern from start to finish, and that was simple enough. So yeah, just try to keep your brightness settings on high. It should help out while seeing all these giant frogs. Now, in order to get to this location, if you haven't done the quest Tears of Guthix, then you do need to start from underneath Lumbridge Basement and essentially just run through the Dorgashikan area until you get to these giant frogs. And if you do have the quest Tears of Guthix complete, then you can use a gaming necklace and teleport directly to this location and run about 20 steps northwest, and you will end up at the giant frog area much faster. Certainly not as fast as that guy did meet his demise there. I did want to make this video a little bit different because I know giant frogs are not the most entertaining monster in the world, and that is where the idea of using some of my 76 frog masks in the bank kind of came into play. So yeah, I was really enjoying this week, alongside killing all these giant frogs. I would go on my main as soon as I would want to take a little bit of a break, and I would roam into the wilderness, from the Lumbridge swamps to the Revenant caves and Deep Wild, and it would be a very, very enjoyable time. So yeah, I do hope you guys enjoy those clips, and a big shout out to the two people that were PKing with me all week long, my good friend Juan and my good friend Nick. So shout out to both of them. And of course, a big shout out goes to all the frogs around RuneScape. A very underrated monster in this game. Just look at that attack animation, that long tongue. It's very unique. Something else unique about these giant frogs that I found out early on was of course their drops. Now, every single time you kill a giant frog, you do get big bones, and that is how we tracked all the kills throughout this video. We did actually unlock the Bone Crusher on this account about 2 weeks ago, and ever since then it's been very useful for these videos. So I did charge it up to 3,000 charges, and from start to finish, all those big bones is pretty much how we did track the kills. And although you do get big bones 100% of the time when you're killing giant frogs, a drop that you get 50% of the time, a very common drop, would be the giant frog legs. Currently at a price on the Grand Exchange for about 1,200 GP each, and during this video they would be anywhere from 1,050 to 1,200 GP each depending on the day. Those frog legs were adding up nicely from start to finish, and that is where most of our profit did come from this video, as you will see in the price check towards the end. And this moment right here is basically the most action that I've had in months, or probably years actually. But yeah, shout out to the frog princess coming down out of nowhere as I was killing her royal subjects, and it certainly did fit the mood, and we were given a frog token for that kiss, and we did exchange it in Varrock, just like the old days when you were a kid and you were going free to play PKing, so you got that frog mask for a little bit of fashion scape. Well, that's exactly what we did, and I decided at that very point in time that we would replace that Serpentine helmet while we were making this video for a frog mask on both accounts this time. time. That was a nice moment to get a random event. That's probably the only time that I've ever been happy about getting a random event on a main account for the past few years now. So also did run into about 20 or 30 different people while I was killing all these frogs, and some of the reactions that I did get were pretty strange and pretty funny, so I did add a few of those into the video. At this point we were 1,000 kills in and everything was going pretty good. You know, I was feeling froggy at this point, you know, ready to leap up on my next opponent in the wilderness. You know, had to take a proper break. It took about 3 different breaks. You know, every 1,000 kills would come with about 5 to 6 hours of PKing, and I would say the PKing went pretty well. You know, I didn't get smited for anything too big, and I did get some pretty nice PKs and a lot of you know, random PKs. Really just went for anyone and everyone. Didn't try to single anyone out individually, of course. There was certainly a lot of clans, a lot of teams here at the Rev Caves, and for those of you who don't know, you know, I did stay at the Rev Caves for about 8 months straight, and I have not returned up until this point for about 6 to 7 months. So yeah, I really did miss these caves. As enjoyable as the swamps of Lumbridge are, I figured the Rev Caves was definitely a nice break from these frogs, and it certainly was. Gotta say, I did not expect to get a long bone from these giant frogs. It is a 1 in 400 drop, and you can kind of see the bank tab growing here. You know, the nature runes, the cosmic runes, not a lot of blood runes, but I will say enough blood was being spilled in the wilderness during this video, so that is definitely alright with me. But I will say those nature runes really did help the price check at the end. Not too long after we did get that long bone, of course, we get the rarest drop that you can get from, honestly, most monsters in this game, and especially from a giant frog, and that, of course, is the curved bone, 1 in 5,000. Did not expect to get that. You know, I think I say that in all these loot videos when it comes to these bones, but anyway, I will be keeping a collection on this account of all the long and the curved bones. Probably won't ever trade them in for any clip purposes or anything like that. And in regards to gathering clips for videos, I would give you a perfect example of why you would ever die at the air orb altar, and that would be because a scumbag YouTuber such as myself wants to get a clip for a video. Even if it's a 2-second clip, your cosmic runes do have to take the fall. So yeah, I don't know, that was a very strange place to attempt to kill someone, but I wanted, like I said before, to try out some different areas around the wilderness, not just all at Rev Caves. So tried to be a little bit creative, but I think I did fall short a tad on that. Oh, maybe that dark bow spec made up for that, but I don't know. I will say that, you know, at this current point in time, I only had 1,000 giant frogs left, and I could not expect this, of all things, to happen. Round 2, Mr. No Sleep getting some more action. You know, another frog princess spawn, and now with my second frog token, I can purchase a prince outfit to go alongside my beautiful frog mask. So I'll be decked in fashion by the end of this video, regardless of the outcome. And I will say, I hope you guys didn't take this video too seriously. You know, it was really all for fun. I don't know why I did this. I really don't. I don't even know how I got the idea of giant frogs, but nevertheless, 3,000 of them complete. Let's talk a little bit about the overall drops that we did get from 3,000 giant frogs. Go ahead and price check everything, and overall the recap of the XP gained and how long this actually took to do, minus of course all the time that we did spend PKing as a frog. So overall averaging about 180 kills per hour using a whip as well as super combats the whole entire time. The frog killing part of the video did take about 18 hours total, and the overall loot from 3,000 giant frogs does come out to be just about 2.4 mil. All of those giant frog legs adding up to be just about 1.6 mil, and then of course you get all that other 800k from all of the runes, the arrows, the spears, as well as the coal and the spinach rolls. Now I did actually make the amateur mistake of trying to sell these giant frog legs for 900 GP each in the Grand Exchange, when you can actually sell them to an NPC who goes by the name of Hudo in the Tree Gnome Stronghold for 1,000 coins apiece. So I pretty much could have gotten the full 1.6 mil from all of these frog legs. However, I kinda sold myself short and just put them in for 900 each, and then I just kept the rest and slowly did sell them over time for about 1k or so. And yeah, that is about it, guys. You know, I was averaging about anywhere from 60 to 75k defense XP per hour killing these giant frogs. The video itself, just killing the frogs, did take less than 20 hours to complete, and all of the fun really just did come from dressing up as a frog, you know, occasionally putting on the green robes to match that frog mask, and just trying to have some fun in the wilderness, which we definitely did this week. You know, I would try and switch up my weapons as well as my gear, and that way it would always be something different to use every single trip, and I think that's really a good way of how to make PKing more enjoyable. Didn't really take myself too seriously or anything like that, really just tried to have as much fun as possible and not piss off too many clans, which I don't think think we did. You know, we stayed out of the total level worlds and all that good stuff. I will say though, with all the Venezuelans that do control these rev caves, both PVMers and PKers, I do need to brush up on my Spanish because we are definitely outnumbered as it pertains to, well, just the language barrier there. So yeah, I do need to look into that. I did actually manage a few smites during this video. You know, always having smite on does come in handy. I got a few ballistas, a light ballista, normal ballista, as well as a tentacle whip, so that was nice to get. And you know, even being outnumbered, we would always, my teammates and myself would always try to kill as many people as we could before the big clan logged in, and we would just simply teleport out as quickly as possible. And like I said, you know, we tried not to mess with too many clans while doing so, and for the most part, it did work out. Favorite weapon while rocking this frog setup, hands down, would be the Zamrock God Sword. Not only does it hit really high and it's not too expensive in case you get smited for it, but you can also freeze your opponent with a special attack, and it's just got so many uses, you know, so it's really nice to use here. And you know, I was trying to act as much as a frog as I could during this video, probably make a lot of you guys cringe with all the ribbits and you know, the ribbit, you know, that you saw throughout this video. Yeah, I definitely have way too much energy right now, which is saying something for a guy like myself. So yeah, anyways, I do hope you guys have enjoyed the video. We are coming to a close here, 3,000 giant frogs completed. If you guys are curious how much money we did make from all of this PKing, about 15 hours of clips and very sped up footage here from all these highlights that you guys have seen. We did make about 15 mil profit from PKing, as well as all the profit that we did make from the giant frogs themselves. I would say it was a pretty productive week. And if you guys didn't enjoy the PKing during this video, don't worry, I definitely will not make it a habit to include these PKing clips in these loot videos. But you know, if I ever do a funny, silly little monster like these giant frogs, you know, then definitely anything is possible to add into a video at that point, you know, because if I'm ever going to upload a video on YouTube, I want to make sure that it's worth uploading, and I definitely want to make sure that it's worth watching. So with all that being said, guys, thank you very much for your continued support. I will see you guys in about 4 to 5 days with loot from 1000 Zalcano. I think that's how you pronounce that. Until then, Mr. No Sleep, out.